Hi, everyone. How are you? How are you? It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What are we doing? You all are amazing. You're amazing. Here you are. I mean, this is such a testament to you, your goals, your dreams, who you are, your character, your integrity, that you're showing up on a Monday night at 9 p.m. when you too could be watching Hallmark Channel right now. So you should be giving yourselves a big pat on the back because that's amazing. So proud of all of you for showing up. So as your amazing coach Moira alluded to, I have been a coach since the beginning of time. So it's really, that's what it feels like because before any and all of the things that we're talking about tonight, I have been a coach. Before Shakeology, I know. Like there was a time before Shakeology, I was there. There was a time, y'all, there was a time before Energize. How did we even function? I don't know. But there was a moment before Energize. I know it's hard to believe. There was a moment before 21 Day Fix. Can you even? I was there. I've seen all of it. I've seen every iteration of this business. I've gone from VHS to DVD to digital to body, like just all the things. I was a high school English teacher. Nobody grows up thinking they're going to be a Beachbody coach or build an online business. It took me quite a while to figure out what I wanted to do. But if I really look at it, I kind of knew all along. It just took me a little bit to articulate it. So I was a high school English teacher. My husband is a college football coach. We got married pretty young and have moved a lot. And in one of those moves, we decided that I would stay home. And then I conveniently got pregnant with baby number 3. You think I didn't plan that? You know I planned that. I was not going back to teaching high school. That's another conversation. So we have 3 daughters. Jenna is the oldest. She lives in Washington, D.C. I talked a little bit about her at Leadership if you were there. She works in D.C. She just finished her master's out there. And she is a signed author with Penguin Random House. Her book comes out in 2023. She writes young adult science fiction. So your children might read it. I don't know if you will, but your children might read it. So it's so crazy to think that the child that would turn in pay attention to those kinds of clues. Pay attention to those clues in your children and in yourself too, because she would be the kid in kindergarten who would come home and they were supposed to write a couple sentences and it was like 2 full pages, and I'm like, something's going on here. I should have known then. So that's Jenna. Josie is my middle one. She was a ballerina, injuries, blah, blah, blah. She's now finishing her last year at Butler University here in business. And Jessie, our youngest, is back in New York City. She was in New York City. And then, as we all know, everyone came home. So we were empty nesters for just like a second, and then we weren't anymore. And then everyone came home, and then everyone has gone back away. So it's been a really odd couple years for us, like leaving, coming home. And I mean, when I mean home, I mean like my husband was coaching his team like up in the bedroom, and I was downstairs, and Jesse's like dancing in the other room. And like it was a lot happening in the JV house. So Jessie is at Pace University right now. And we're going to talk about New York in a little bit. But I have built this business with a husband who is gone all the time and 3 daughters who are extremely busy. I started this business 13 years ago. So when Jessie was like 6 or 7, and stacked the other girls on top of that. And that was kind of right in the meat of when kids get really busy and start to discover some of their own passions. So it was just me doing all the running around, and I was teaching group fitness. After I left high school English, I fell into group fitness, and I was teaching way too many classes a week. I was a master trainer. I was running my girls around. My husband was gone, and I managed to really build the foundation of this business in that moment in time. And I think, Moira, part of what people see in me is that. It is that piece that I build this business and have always built this business for and because of my family. They have never at any point in time been the reason why I don't. They are forever the reason why I do, 100%. So when moms specifically say to me, well, I just don't have time or this or that, or I'm so busy, but I'm like, no, I don't have time for that. I really don't. Because the reason why my daughters have every experience that they've had is because of this business. insert income disclaimer, 100% the reason why my daughters have had every single experience that they've had is because of this business. There's no doubt in my mind that when Jenna graduated from Butler University and moved to New York at 22 on her own because she had a job out there, it's because she watched me do a lot of stuff on my own. There's no doubt in my mind that the reason Josie could move to Orlando and dance at Orlando Ballet at 18 on her own in her own apartment is because she saw me do a lot of stuff on my own. There's no doubt in my mind that the reason Jessie can step into audition rooms with Broadway stars and sing and dance and do her thing is because she's seen me follow my passion too. There's no doubt in my mind that they're doing all those things because of what they've watched me do. So if at any point in time you think, well, I don't have time for this, or my family is holding me back from this, or there's a reason why I can't do this, I call BS on that. My children have the opportunities that they have and have had the experiences that they've had. They are the humans that they are becoming. Their lives are different. Their children's lives are different. My grandchildren's life will be different, all because I said yes on a blue bench 20 some years ago to teaching group exercise, and then said yes 13 years ago when someone said, hey, do you want to be a coach? That someone was Shalene Johnson. She's a little hard to say no to, but that's neither here nor there because there's a lot of people who said yes to her who haven't done jack, you know what, with this business. So I'm not a real fast runner. I'm not a huge recruiter. I don't make great big numbers. I don't do all the things. I just don't go away. And I think that's the secret of this business. There will be seasons of your life in this business that you're so hustle and you're doing the thing and you're doing the goals and blah, and there'll be other seasons where you're less and it's this and whatever. Awesome. Just don't take yourself out of the playing field. Just don't come out of the game. Ever. And if you just never come out of the game and you continue to ride the waves and the seasons and all of that, you'll build a business that changes your life. But more importantly, it will change. It's such a generational ripple that's hard to even describe. It's hard to fathom how much different my children's lives are because of one decision that I made and because of what they've watched me build over 13 years. Like I can't even wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around where we would be had I not said yes. But I know that that's not the case. And I get to watch them become these incredible humans because they've watched me. They've watched me fail massively. They've watched me succeed. They've watched me do all the things. And it's very different. It's very different than watching their dad. Because let me give you a little newsflash in 2021. If at some point, you know, whatever relationship you're in, female, female, male, 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 female, whatever it might be, one of them probably goes to work every day. So in our case, because it's husband, wife, I'll just use my husband, I'll use my own story. My husband goes to work every day. That's in a very patriarchal 2021. That's kind of normal. That's what they see. That's what they expect. It's very different when daughters can watch their moms do that too. It's very different when daughters can watch their mom kind of put a line in the sand and go, no, we're actually going to do this and you get to benefit from this. And they were very cognizant of why we got to go to Disney, why we got to take a cruise, why we got to do X, Y. They're very cognizant of that. And it had nothing to do with my husband's job. That was an expectation. Of course, dad goes to work. But when mom does it and mom creates something that actually changes their life, Josie was very cognizant of why she got to do master classes in the summer and ballet summer intensives. Jenna was very aware of why she got to do drum corps in the summer and travel for 4 months. They were very aware of that. That's hard to put into words, how important that is for your kids. I don't have to tell them to work hard and dream big because they've watched it for 13 years. So your kids, your family, whatever it might be, those are the reasons why you're building. They're never the reasons why you're not. So Moira, does that enough of a little bit of a thing?
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, this is like my love language, this whole mom thing and who our kids become. And like this, the reason, not the excuse. Yes. And I just want to plant this seed because I didn't really think about it going into the call, but I would love for you as you go, well, tell me this. Do you want to go into Q&A?
Well, now? I just want to tell you a little story from last weekend in New York City. And it's so interesting because there is inspiration everywhere. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but there's inspiration everywhere. And what I've noticed, maybe in particular over the last several years, in particular the past 2 years, but in particular over the last several years, as I've kind of continued on down my own growth journey, is that I think a lot of coaches don't take ownership over their personal growth and keeping their own fire lit. And I was in New York a couple weeks ago. We went out there for a mom-daughter weekend. And, you know, as one does in New York on Halloween weekend. We saw Wicked. Of course, I mean, like, what else would you see? We've seen it 800 times. Of course, you see Wicked. And we went to the ballet on Saturday afternoon, and we went to dinner on Saturday night. And then we didn't really have anything Saturday evening. And we were just, we'll just be kind of loosey-goosey. Let's kind of walk around and kind of see what's going on. And there's a musical called Six, the musical. Has anyone heard of it? If you have, just say yes in the chat. If you've heard of Six, the musical. If you haven't, your homework is to go download the soundtrack right now and fill your ears with females freaking slaying. Okay. They're just going to slay, and you're going to soak it in, and you're going to just inspire yourself from this. And we knew we wanted to see this musical, but when I had looked for tickets a couple months ago, they were like $400 a piece. I'm like, you know what? I love my girls, but no, we're done with that now. So no, thank you. So we didn't get tickets then. And we went to dinner on Saturday night. And when we came out of this little restaurant in Times Square-ish area, I think we were on 48th, and the Sixth Theater is on 47th. And I just looked at the girls. I'm like, do you just want to walk over? Just want to see if there's any tickets. It's 7:40 p.m. The show's at 8. You want to walk over? They're like, yeah. And they're like, Mom, there's probably not. And I'm like, yeah, let's just walk over. So we walked over, and, there's people are in line, and they're checking their cards and doing all the things and blah, blah. And everyone's going on. There's a extremely tall security guy kind of standing where you might walk into the lobby. And I just walked up and I said, any chance that you have is there any tickets for tonight? And he looked down on me and he goes, for tonight? And I said, yeah, I'm just curious if there are any tickets for tonight. He said, we've been sold out for weeks. And I said, well, it doesn't hurt to ask, does it? And he's like, whatever, lady, go on in. Lesson number 1 from New York City, Six the Musical, always ask. Lesson number 1, write that down, always ask. Always ask. If Mary Seafelt on that blue bench in the Waukesha Y 20 years ago had not asked me to teach group fitness, I would not be here talking to you today. If Shalene Johnson had not asked me 13 and a half years ago, I think you'd be a good coach. What do you say? And I hadn't said yes, I would not be here talking to you today. If someone had not asked you, you would not be here right now at this moment. And yet every single day there's an opportunity for us to ask, and we get scared and we don't do it. And he looked down at me and said, you're crazy. And I said, how about I just go check? Whatever. So I walked into the lobby. And I walked up to the box office and I said, any chance you have some tickets? And he said, for tonight? And I said, yeah. And he goes, yes, actually I do. I've got some good tickets. And I said, yeah, but do you have 3? 3's hard. Do you have 3? He goes, yeah, I sure do. Row H right here on the aisle. I said, well, I'll take those tickets. And I reached into my wallet to get my credit card, and my girls are outside going like this, like, what is happening? And I'm like, yeah, you want to come on in because we got some tickets here. All right. So we popped down the credit card. Why am I able to pop down my credit card without even asking how much tickets are? Why? You already know, because of what I said yes to 13 and a half years ago. You know that. Put down my credit card. I got my tickets, row H, right on the aisle. We're freaking out right now. Like, we're freaking out. I said, what time does the show start? He goes, it starts in 18 minutes. 18 minutes. So we go get in line. We go sit down. Like, we're about to pee our pants. We can hardly stand it. Lights go down. Show starts. Stage goes dark. These 6 women come out. Smoke, black silhouette, all female band, all female cast. I am peeing my pants right now because I'm out of my mind. It is like a rock concert. The first note hits, I'm screaming, like literally like I'm at a Jonas Brothers concert. It is amazing. 90 minutes, slaying vocals. I'm soaking it in. Lesson number 2, you're in charge of keeping your own fire lit. You are in charge. It is not anybody else's responsibility to inspire you. It is not your business's responsibility. It is not Moira's responsibility. It is not Carl's responsibility. It's not a trainer's responsibility. It is your responsibility to keep your own fire lit. Because I'll tell you, after 90 minutes of listening to these vocals, and I came back to Indiana on Sunday, the entire next week, my workouts were off the chart good. Why? Because I was so inspired from something that had nothing to do with my business. Please don't open your Coach Online office expecting it to inspire you. Please live your life so that your inspiration leaks over into every other part of your life. What you live your life as should be then leaking over into your business. Please do not open your Coach Online office and expect it to inspire you. That is not how this works. You are in charge of keeping your own fire lit. And when you are so on fire with your life, that will trickle over into your business. It will trickle, because what is everything? Energy. Energy is everything. Energy is everything. And if you are fired up for your life, when you talk about whatever, energize, your workout, your shake, your whatever you're talking about, you just naturally have more energy. I mean, I was blowing my mind with my workouts this week because I was so inspired. So that's lesson number 2, keep yourself inspired. We finished the show. We go stand outside. And back in the day, pre-pandemic, you could stage door. I don't know if any of you have ever stage doored. If you have, say yes in the chat, because then I know you're my theater people. We always stage door, and they don't really stage door anymore. But stage door means they've set up barricades and the stars would come out. And I mean, these insanely talented humans, it's so ridiculous how insanely talented. My daughter Josie always goes, you know what? I have vocal cords too. Why don't my sounds sound like that? I have vocal cords. And I'm like, I know, it's very unfair. So these people come out usually, and in the past, like 2019, they would maybe stop and take pictures and send all our stuff. So they're not doing that anymore. They come out the barricade and they've got their masks on and they wave and they kind of, they acknowledge the fans, and then they have an Uber ready for them so they can then go on back to their place so they can stay safe and healthy and keep performing. Broadway was shut down for more than a year. So they'd like to keep their job. So they go into the Uber and they go off. Jessie, my youngest, happens to know one of the performers in the show. She's taken some master classes with her. She kind of knows her. So she's like, well, let's just stand here and let's see if Sam comes out. Maybe I can just wave to her. All right, cool, whatever. So Samantha comes out and she looks at Jessie and she's like, oh, my God, we hug, and we start walking down the kind of the barricade. She's like, come on, walk down with me to the corner. So we go down to the corner. Standing on the corner, her Uber is waiting. And Jessie's like, oh my gosh, Samantha, you were amazing tonight. So good, so good. And Sam goes, you know what I said? I started my solo and I went, I hope it's okay to say this. She said to herself, bitch, you sound good tonight. That's what she said in her head. Samantha Polly, star on 6. It was so great. She's like, bitch, you sound good tonight. That's lesson 3A. When you are in your pocket, when you are doing something that is amazing and you're like so proud of yourself, acknowledge it. You sound good tonight. Immediately after that, Sam shared with us that in the second verse of the song, she sang the wrong words. So lesson 3B is Samantha Polly is a Broadway professional. She does this 8 times a week. She gets paid to do this. This is all she's ever done. And she makes mistakes. So whatever made you think that you, who did not grow up wanting to be a Beachbody coach, and who knows how long you've been doing this, but I guess it's probably not as long as Samantha Polly's been training to be on Broadway. What makes you think you're never going to make a mistake? And let me tell you this. We had no idea Samantha Polly sang the wrong words to that song. You know why? Because her energy was so awesome. We didn't know and we wouldn't have cared. We had no idea and we wouldn't have cared. Even Broadway professionals who only do that and have trained their entire life to do that and get paid to do that make mistakes. Nobody cared. Nobody noticed. All they saw was her energy. So 3 lessons in that. Acknowledge when you're awesome, and nobody cares if you make mistakes. It is all about energy. And the last lesson is simply that you must go download that soundtrack right now and fill your ears with that soundtrack because it's so amazing, and consider that your homework to keep yourself inspired. But I want you to remember that you must always ask. The answer is no unless you ask. Someone asks you, why would you not be asking? That should be your mantra from now on. I'm just always going to ask. Number 2, you have to inspire yourself. You have to inspire yourself. I see so many message threads of like, well, what should I read for this? Or what should I read for this? How about you just go out and do something that actually fires you up in your life, which who knows what that might be? Who knows? Maybe it's that you take your kids skating. Maybe it's that you go see a Broadway show. Now, I don't know what it is, but if you cannot answer the question, what inspires you, we have a problem. Because you likely aren't going to build a big business. You have to be able to answer the question, what inspires you? Because when you keep your fire lit, it will flow into your business. For me, on Saturday night, it was that show, but it could be something else on any other night or any other day. It's not just one. You better have a treasure trove of stuff that just lights you up. And third, always acknowledge when you're awesome. Just acknowledge it, even if it's in your own head. Like, girl, I am awesome today. And then remember that even Broadway professionals make mistakes and nobody cares. It's only about your energy. So stop worrying if your invite is correct. Nobody cares if your invite's correct. There is no correct invite. They just care about your energy and that you're sending it, and they care about how you make them feel. When I watched Samantha Polly, she made me feel awesome. I didn't care what words she was saying. So those are my lessons from New York and Six the Musical tonight. I shall now open the floor for Q&A.
Oh my gosh, we can just end the call there. I mean, you just said everything, like everything. And I know that they heard it from you because they don't always hear it from their coach.
You can't be a prophet in your own land ever. So, you know.
Right. But gosh, I could just reiterate it all, which I'm not going to, but I want to, because it was just everything. I mean, honestly, people were saying in the chat, like they're just going to listen to this call for their PV every day. Please do, because
tell me more stories.
What she just said was everything. I mean, energy, like you're going to make mistakes, like celebrate yourself. The biggest thing was the inspiration, because I've never heard it put like that, Julie. And I remember in the beginning for me, like it was my daughter at the time, she wanted me to bring her to the American Girl doll store, which was like me driving to Atlanta. Right. Yeah. But to me, I was like, oh my God, yeah. like that inspired me, because I was able to do that. And I was focused on that thing that was outside of my business, but was because of my business. But I wasn't focused on people quitting and the people saying no and the people dropping rank and because we all have that every freaking day of the week. No matter where you are in the business, we have that. Yes. We are responsible for our own inspiration. I love it. Okay, I've got some, I want you guys to drop questions in the chat. I'm going to open it up to everybody, but I did go into my 2-star and up thread and asked for them too. And somebody said, can you recall a moment in your business that was most pivotal? And then what excites you the most about this business 12 years in? So I'll give you those two to start.
Yes, I can tell you an exact moment that was most pivotal, and that was in 2019. So we talked about how we are a 12-time elite team. Let me just tell you something. Maybe for you, it's easy. For me, it's not. It's not like the easiest thing in the world. So for any of you who are, it just feels like it flows. It's not always easy. And I feel like the longer I'm in the business, you'd think it gets easier. That's not always the case. And I remember in 2019, 2019 was a hard year because it was also right after my daughter had surgeries. So Josie was a ballet dancer. She stopped dancing. She had 4 surgeries in 1 year. Life upended, sat on our couch for a while. And then in 2019, Jessie went to college. I was an empty nester for the first time. There's a lot of family stuff that was kind of taking up space in my brain. And I remember it at Summit, we were not elite. And there was a little bit in my head that I was like, you know what? It doesn't really matter, because you can't take away all the times that I've been elite, and I could feel myself starting to kind of give a way out. That's extremely unlike me, but I could feel it happening. And I just think there was a lot that was kind of crowding in my head. And at some point in October, I was leadership, I think. And I came back from leadership, and it was kind of that line from Moana when they say, you know who you are. I literally looked at myself and went, what the freak are you getting to work? And it was like, game on. And in about 40 days, maybe less than that, we made elite happen. I just decided. So when people say diamond's a decision or elite's a decision or whatever, it's the truth, because once I made that decision, then there was no other option. And we ended that year as a 10-time elite team. Now, if you would ask me, why did I have to wait till October to make that happen and make my life hell for the last, I don't know the answer to that. Who knows why we do the things we do. But I do know that particular situation now is in my toolbox. Mm-hmm. It's in my mindset, it's in my toolbox. Mm-hmm. So when there are times, and there will be times when it's hard and times when I'm like, I don't know. I can go back to that and go, okay, let's get our head out of our ass and get back to work, because for me, elite really means I'm moving my business forward. I don't really care about the recognition. That's me personally. I care that means I'm moving my business forward. To me, it means I'm helping, because our team's mostly female. I'm helping women get connected to this business that has so deeply and forever changed my life. That's what it means to me. And so I really had to have a good talking to myself, like, so we're just not helping people anymore. I really had to talk to myself. And then once I made the decision, that was the end of the discussion. Really, once you make the decision, that's just the end of the discussion. And then I got to work, and it happened, but that was pivotal, and it was hard, and it was a lesson, and now it's in my toolbox. So, and there'll be another year, who could be next year, could be 2 years from now, could be 5 years from now, that it's hard again. And you reach into your toolbox and you do that for as long as it serves you, And, then the next season comes in. So what was the second part?
Well, and I just want to point out too, it's in your toolbox for your own experience, but it's also in your toolbox for all the people that you are on your team. That's the really cool thing about every time I'm up against an obstacle in this business, I feel like I have to figure this out for you guys, because you're going to be up against this. Somebody's going to come up against this. And if I don't figure it out, then no one's going to figure it out. So I got to figure it out. And so that motivates me. You motivate me more than me. Does that make sense? I've always said that. It's just how I'm wired. Yeah. So that's a huge part of that too. So know that when you're like, I don't have time, I'm struggling to figure out how to do this in the pockets of time. Well, so are thousands of other people that you're going to be able to help if you figure it out for yourself.
And we just make everything so much harder than it is. Just as a human nature, we make everything so much harder than it is for whatever reason. I don't know why this is. And if we can work on our wiring around this, because why are we spending energy why was I spending energy in July around reasons why it would be okay if I didn't hit elite? Why was I spending energy doing that and giving myself an out? An out from what? The business, my life? That's dumb. So why am I spending any energy towards something that isn't moving my business forward? Why are we spending any energy whatsoever towards something that isn't moving our life forward? When we can stop and ask ourselves that question, I think we can then find ways to get back in flow, because certainly none of us want our life to be, we've had hard the past 2 years. So why do we want more of it? So just catch yourself and go, seems that I'm making this much harder than it has to be. How about I change my thinking and then just do? Because if you can choose a negative thought, you can also choose a positive thought. So then just do. That's just a decision.
We talked a lot at Summit about you're always kind of building a case for yourself or against yourself. And you're always building a case for why you're going to be successful or why you're going to phase out, why you're going to lower the bar, and why would we ever do that? Why are we going to build a case against our success? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Right.
So the other part of that question was, what excites you most about this business 12 years in?
Body. Really, body. We've only been waiting I came from the group exercise space. So I was on CAB 2016, 2017, coach advisory board on 2016, 2017. And I was raving the flag, can we talk about live classes in 2016? And they go, you know what? We just don't have time to talk about that today. In today's CAB meeting, I'm like, can we talk about live classes? So I have been waiting for this for a long time. Body is what excites me. It's the only way we stay relevant. It's the only way we move into the next season of this business. Programs are cute. They're not current anymore. We have to have live classes. We have to have live formats. We have to have live trainers, and we have to have stuff that's available all the time. And the fact that we're getting there, and then we have a piece of equipment and all of that it's making us more relevant. And that's what we all want. So that's what excites me. And it also excites me when I think about kind of this next phase that I'm moving into, being a coach for 13 and a half years. And Jamie Fitzpatrick talked a little bit about this at Leadership. My gosh, we've developed so many skills. There's so many so many natural talents that all of you have that this business will let you bring out and refine. And then at some point, you'll find another place to even use them. And so now, even as I think about, wow, I've built this team, I've done all these things, this is really cool. And now there's also other ways that I can use some of these gifts. I would not have been able to do that 13 years ago. And that's really exciting to me too. Just, the question of what's next and what's new is always very exciting to me. And also the idea that I, most of the time, don't know what I'm doing and I have to figure it out. And that's very exciting to me, because if I knew it all, that'd be super boring. I like that. I don't really know very much. Maybe I purposefully keep it that way. So I'm always kind of figuring something out, because that is, I think that's fun.
I love that. And I think your perspective at 13 years and my perspective, I can't even believe I can say like 6 or 7 years, because I feel like I just started. But like, we know enough to know that we have no idea what life's going to look like in 10 years. And I can remember in the beginning, probably like at year 2, 3, I remember calling Aaron Hopkins many times, and I would just be like, I think that we don't have any idea, but like I had an idea. Like I just had this like crazy thought of like, I think we're building something like crazy, and to think about like, but we're still in that same exact spot. Like we have no idea what this is going to look like in 10 years. And that's so exciting. And the only
it is exciting
is if you get off the boat.
Right. And I don't think, the thing about starting when in 2008 was I really could say in 2008, I have no idea what this business is about. Well, you can't say that in 2021. There's not one person on this team in particular, on any team really, who's even engaged a little bit, who could say, well, gosh, I just don't know if this business will work. Like you're just lying to yourself. The business works. You have to decide if you want to work, but the business works. No one can say you don't know in 2021. No one can say that. I could say that in 2008 because no one had done anything with them. They were all a bunch of P90Xers. They were walking around like, bring it. I'm like, excuse me, we do turbo here in this house. I don't know what you're talking about. But no one was like buying another house or retiring their spouse or hitting the million club or there's nothing was happening like that. So I didn't know any of the potential, but there was a glimmer. There was a glimmer of when I got the first check for $38. I went, $38. Well, that's more than I actually made teaching the class that I just taught at Lifetime Fitness. So this could be cool. So there was a glimmer. Now in 2021, you have more than a glimmer. You have a straight shot path. You just have to decide. So it's really up to you.
Love that. You kind of answered this a little bit with your story before with New York, but this was asked before the call. What activities do you do to find harmony in your day, aka balance the hustle with living normal life?
I don't think there's anything such as balance. And, my season is different now because my girls are all gone. So when they were home and we were in the thick of all the things that we were in the thick of, especially this time of year, because for a lot of years, from October to January 1st was like you just sort of dove in and then you came up on January 1st because my girls are all performing arts people. So all the things that you might go to for the holidays, like for your family activities, my girls are all in all those things. So like right now I would have been just trying to paddle and stay above water. And it's just different now because it's just me and my 3 dogs rattling around my house. So I don't really think of balance. I really think of just integration. And I do have to work at it harder now than what you might think, because it is just me. So I could literally just stand at my laptop all day long for 10 hours a day because it's just me. So I actually have to work harder at it now than when my girls were little, because when they have structure or they were home and there were activities and all that, well, then it was I was so more structured because I got to work this time and this time and this time and because of this. Now I get up at 5 every morning because I'm a morning person, and the day you set your tone for your day by what you do in your morning. And Then you set the tone for your life, for what you do in your day. So I get up at 5. I suppose I could get up whenever I wanted to. I'm not taking anyone to school, but that's just what feels really good and right to me. And I have big dreams and big goals, and I need all the time in the day to make them happen. But I have to be a little more intentional about not just standing in front of my laptop. So it is an interesting season now. I try to take a lot of walks with the dogs when I can, travel a little bit more, go to New York, do some things but I have to be more intentional. So those of you that have littles, don't blink, because you'll be me before you know it.
And what I also heard you say is it's actually a gift, because I recognize that. I recognize that I have to race the clock because at 2:30 I got to fly out the door and I'm on like mom duty, right? Yep. And like, that's a gift. And some people use that as the reason why they can't work the business. Yeah.
No, those little pockets are very, very powerful. And sometimes I would do calls in the car, when the girls were in the car. I remember Arno Nakaha called me one day. I think I was driving to pick up Josie, because Josie went to school her freshman and sophomore year in high school. And then we went online school, and she was there in the morning, and I was driving to pick her up. He's like, "You seem very busy. Like, you don't have very much time." I'm like, "Yeah, I am very busy. I have an hour today to work the business. This is what I'm doing. Here we go." And then you just have to, I think maybe because I had older parents, my parents were in their mid 40s when they had me, and my brother and sister were in high school. So maybe having older parents also gave me a perspective on time. I just didn't stress out about it that much. I just knew that this was sort of the season. I also never had my hand on the back door. Like, well, if this doesn't work, I'm going to leave. I never had that. I never filled out the cancellation and then didn't. I never thought about quit. Like, that's just never entered my mind. So I think I had a perspective that, well, this is my season and this is what I'm doing in this season. And then there'll be a time I could just always very clearly see the next season, which comes more quickly than what you think. And so I didn't really stress. I just worked the time that I had. It's turned out okay.
I love that. So can you talk about that a little bit from like a season standpoint, when you're talking about like hours that you put in? Like, what did it look like, just whenever I could, maybe 5 to 10 hours a week at seasons, or has it always been like 20 to 30 to 40? Like, what has that looked like? And what does it look like now? Like, when you go to New York, are you kind of like, I'm going to take a break and put this over here for 4 days?
No, because I really, really love what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm also type A enough to not be able to let go of control too much. But I also know that if I don't take care of myself and my own inspiration, keep my own bucket filled, I'm not very good to other people. So I do try to integrate some work when I travel, because it just makes me feel better. It makes my mental space feel better when I don't like to open up my inbox and have 500 emails. That stresses me out more than just doing some work every single day. So, I get up, I do my morning routine, I do my workout, and then I do work. I just will work and do podcast stuff and do stuff for my team and do stuff for my courses. Just do stuff till 4 or 5-ish, whatever, try to take a walk with the dogs if it's nice. I live in Carmel, Indiana, where we're having odd warm weather right now. I'm loving it. And so I'm walking in the day, but now it's also dark at 5 p.m., which is weird. But once it gets dark at night, like, I'm so done. I'm like a vampire. Is that right? Is that the right analogy? I'm not nocturnal at all. Like, once it gets dark, I'm like, and now the day is done. So I'm not very good at night. And I know that. So I try to work in, John Acuff calls it your green zone. You just try to pay attention to, I know some people either out of necessity or because it really works for them, like to get up and do their workout right away. I like to get up and do some stuff right away, because I'm very alert in the morning and I'm very ready to go in the morning. And if I'm working out, I'm burning a little bit of my green zone. So I try to stay very self-aware when my green zone is, and it's in the morning. And then I'll work out maybe 9 because I can, and then come back. And then I have another green zone in that early afternoon. And then I have a little bit of a yellow zone in the afternoon. And then usually I have a red zone in the night. I know that. So once you know that, that's when you work. So I'm not going to try to create a horse at night. I would do that. That would be like my early afternoon green zone. And so I try to now, when the girls were home and we were running around, it was like, it didn't really matter what zone you were in. You were in build a business zone, and this is the zone. And I will tell you this too, when the light finally clicked and I could see that there was potential with this business. It was interesting because we were out at a master trainer conference in California. And I had been a coach for about 8 months and I had done nothing with the business, nothing. I had no idea what I was doing. I did not see anyone in my family who had been an entrepreneur. No one owned a business. No one in my hometown owned a business. I grew up in a tiny little town of about 1,200. The women there were either teachers or nurses, or they just stayed there and got married. And I knew that wasn't going to be for me to stay there. And I just I didn't see it. There was no see it to be it. I didn't see any of that. And when I was at Master Trainer Conference, I was in a room, in a space, listening to a speaker, and it suddenly clicked for me that this could be something. This could be something. I wasn't sure what, but it was the first time that the light bulb really clicked. And I thought, I think this can be something. Well, as the universe does, the universe, always tests you. Are you really serious about this? Could be something. And later that day, we were packing up boxes, doing some stuff. And another trainer turned to me and said, so what do you want to do with this business? And without thinking, I just turned to her and said, well, I'm going to take my family back to Disney. I'm going to pay for it with my Beachbody business. And it just sort of flowed out of my mouth without me thinking too much about it. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how I was going to do that. And I will tell you, when I made that final payment with my little paper check back in the day, when I made that final payment, I don't know what my Success Club points were, and I have no idea what rank I was. And I also know that no one had to tell me to get up really early or stay up really late. It didn't matter because my dream was big enough to make me do those things. I don't know how many Success Club points I have. I don't know how many coaches I recruited or what rank I was. But those things were happening because they were connected to my goal. I also know no one had to tell me what time to get up in the morning, and no one had to tell me to stay up late at night. No one has to tell you that if your dream is big enough. So those power pockets, those pieces, that they were happening because my dreams got bigger. So no one had to say, maybe you should get up at whatever time. I just did. No one had to say, maybe you should stay on this call. I just did. No one had to say, maybe you should work this 30 minutes while you're waiting for Josie to come out and dance. I just did, because my dream was really big. And I want to take my family back to Disney. And then I wanted to go on a Disney cruise. And then I wanted to buy into Disney Vacation Club. And now I'm going to freaking move to Florida. This is my Post-it note that says, buy a home in Orlando next to Magic Kingdom. Well, I have no idea what rank I'll be or how many Success Club points I'll have or any of that kind of stuff, but no one has to tell me to get up at 5 a.m. and I have no kids at home. I could probably sleep till 8. Who knows what time? I could sleep whenever. I could do whatever I wanted to do. I don't do that because my dream is so big that no one has to tell me what time to get up. If someone has to tell you what time to get up in the morning or what time to stay up to, your dream's not big enough and you're not keeping yourself inspired. So that's how it looked for me when I was building my business. It's how it looks for me now. No one has to tell me that stuff. If your dream is big enough and your goal is big enough, you're going to do it, period.
Oh my gosh, the best ever. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, couldn't agree more. And your dream might not be yours enough, right? You got to make it yours. And I think also what's important, and I know, Julie, you would attest to this too. It's those little dreams. You got to have something that you're pushing for that's big enough, that's real enough, that's right out there that you can see and taste and run to, right? And then you're going to get it. And there's got to be something else. And there's got to be something else. And there's got to be something else. And that takes a
This wasn't on a Post-it note 13 years ago. Yeah. This was not on a Post-it note 13 years ago. This was deep in the recesses of my mind since high school. Deep in there since high school. But it wasn't even on a Post-it note.
Buy Disney. So maybe that's next. You're going to just buy Disney.
Yes, that's it. I'm just going to be in the castle. And if I could actually lead a turbo workout in front of the castle, I could die the next day.
See, surround yourself with people that dream big dreams for you, right? I'm thinking you're buying Disney. We're doing turbo in the castle.
I love it. I'm there. But you're right. My very first goal was to buy a pair of Nikes that I could then teach my turbo kick classes in. So it didn't have to come out of my family budget. That was my very first goal. But listen to that too. Listen to how small my dream was. Which was okay in 2008. It's not okay in 2021. It was okay in 2008 because I didn't see anybody building bigger dreams, except you see that now. So your dream needs to be so big that no one has to tell you what time to get up in the morning. No one has to tell me that. No one should have to tell you that. And if it doesn't make you want to pee your pants a little bit, it's probably not big enough. And it should be like, even when I set that goal to take my family back to Disney all those years ago, like that made me pee my pants a little bit because we couldn't even get to the end of the month. I'm like, who do I think I am? Well, I thought I was someone who's going to take my family back to Disney. I was going to do it with this business. So let's get to it. And then it was like, do, as Moira said, just stare, step, stare. And then I think someone's going to put 3 kids through college with this little business. Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. So it just starts small and then it just continues to build, but the potential is there and you know it, you see it. You see it now. In 2021, you see it. It's just a decision.
So good. I have a technical question because I think it's a really good one for you that probably applies to a lot of people on our team and then we'll wrap. But my coach Amity, who just closed 2 of her Pilates studios. I know you come from a fitness background. How to incorporate Beachbody without competing with your personal fitness business? How did you mesh the 2 together?
Is Aaron Hopkins on here? Aaron, can I use you for a second? I'm just going to ask you some questions. Okay. Aaron, do you like vanilla Shakeology?
Yes.
Do you like chocolate Shakeology?
It's my very favorite thing.
Do you like any other flavors?
I like everything except strawberry.
So what you're telling me is you can drink more than one flavor of Shakeology and like it.
I drink all of them.
Okay. Could that also mean that I could go to the gym and take a class and work out at home? Could I like more than one way to work out?
You can.
Yes. Friends, we need to expand our thinking here. We need to expand our thinking. If you go to a gym and you love it, which I did, that's where I started. I love group fitness. I love it so much. I love it so much. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. There is a time when your child is sick and you can't go to your favorite class. There's a time when you'd like to travel and you can't go to your class. There was a time there was a quarantine and you can't go to your favorite class. There could be a time right now where you don't feel comfortable going back to your favorite class. There is a time when you can't go to the gym. Do you have an option? I hope so. I want that option to be me because the more connected my class members were to me, the more connected they were to their fitness journey. I want them taking my classes and working out at home. And I want to be their fitness resource. I'm not just their group exercise instructor. I'm not just their coach. I want to be their fitness and health resource. And I could see them one time a week at Turbo Thursday, or I could see them all the days of the week in my challenge group and know that I was actually going to help them get some results. Now, does that mean on the microphone at the YMCA, I could talk about it? No, but you know what I could say? Follow me on social media. And that's how I can build a community. And then they would go, she keeps drinking this thing. Yes. So it's options. This is not a business or a life of either or. This is an and. And if I would have thought that the only way someone could get healthy and fit was my Thursday Turbo Kick class, I'm doing them a disservice. That's not true. If we think that the only way someone can get healthy and fit is to work out at home, we are doing them a disservice. That's not true. It's not true. We want people getting healthy and fit as many ways as there are human beings on this planet. And that means that's going to be all kinds of different configurations. And guess what? We have an incredible resource that should be part of their life. I have Beachbody On Demand. I have Peloton. I have Alo Moves. I had Cycle London. I have, God knows what else I have. Equinox. I have 5 or 6 apps. Because why not? Because why not have all the options in my house? Because my mindset is a healthy, fit life, not just program to program to program. I want to teach people to lead a healthy, fit life. I want to help them have habits forever, not just for now. I don't want someone to end a program and go, well, now what do I do? Now what do I do? No, it's a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. So if you're teaching group exercise, dang, do you have a platform that you can connect them with that's going to help them lead a healthy, fit life?
A freaking man. I mean, gosh, I think back to when I had my studio and I had such a community, but all I was doing was helping them work out a couple days a week. I'm like, if I could have been connected to them 24/7 and been giving them nutrition and recipes and mindset, and like I would have changed their life on such deeper levels. So crazy.
Right. Because how many women did you see? I would see women coming to my class for like 5 years straight. And I'm like, you still look the same. Now, that's okay. Maybe that's what they wanted and they were there for other reasons. But I would just think, gosh, if you could just take a shake every single day, it would feel better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So it's 9:58 on the East Coast. What do you want to leave us with? I mean, you've done it all. You've left all the magic. I can't imagine there's anything else that even needs to be said. But action-wise, let's talk about that, because we're coming up against, a lot of people are pushing for this, like last 6 weeks of the year is coming to a head here. We've got 2 weeks maybe. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are pushing to diamond or pushing to star diamond or trying to lock in this end of year. What would you say action-wise? What would you leave them with?
Make a decision and then align every single activity around that decision and embrace that you're in a season where you're trying to achieve a goal, and stop apologizing for that goal, period. You don't need to apologize for wanting to create a life bigger and better for you, for your family, than where you are right now. You can be extraordinarily grateful and want an extraordinary life at the same time. Make a decision and then align your activities around it, and do not for 1 second apologize for it. Who's questioning you? Who's questioning you? Someone who wants to lead an ordinary life? Well, that's not you. That's not you. You want extraordinary. So once you make your decision, when I made that decision in 2019, every single habit, every single action, every single activity, everything that I did aligned with, we're going to be a 10-time elite team at the end of this year, period. Everything I did. I didn't make graphics. I didn't do recipe. I didn't do anything that was not aligned completely with that decision. So what is your decision? That's step one. And then you have to believe you can make it happen, which you will if you actually make the decision. And then number two, align all your activities with that. And number three, don't ever freaking apologize for wanting to build an extraordinary life, not to anyone, most of all to yourself. Most of all to yourself, but not to anyone else, because you deserve it. And it's going to be someone. So why not you?
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh. So aligns with how we opened up with our mission statement, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Julie. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I can tell you tomorrow, the biggest win of my day, I always write them the next morning from the previous day, is this. Today, the biggest win of my day is just being like graced with your presence and your wisdom and your fire and your inspiration. And truly, what blows my mind still to this day is being able to have like a real friendship and relationships with people like you. I mean, that's like, wow. That is what fills my cup. That is like my love language and my vision and everything that I want in life. So thank you for being one of those like incredibly special people in my life.
Well, thank you. I think you nailed it too. It's like there are people in this business that we wouldn't know without this business, and yet we can't imagine our life without. And how lucky are we that we get to know them and we get to be inspired by them. And that's the real magic right there. Surround yourself by the people who really push you to dream bigger, because they see something in you that's already there. You just need them to help you bring it out. You've got it right here on this team.